Okay. Again, hi everybody. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'm so excited to be with all of you tonight. I thank you so much for deciding to spend your time with me tonight. I very much appreciate it. So this is hi, Professor Kelsey Coves here at Divination Academy. So first I'll do a little bit of housekeeping and a couple of things that I always do with every one of my classes, just because all my classes stand alone. And if you're a new student, I want to make sure you get the information. So first, thank you so much for coming tonight. If you have never been at Divination Academy class before, I thank you so much for finding us. We are super happy to have you. First, I'll give you a couple of housekeeping tips when it comes to who we are and how to get in contact with us. So we are a pagan academy. We believe that all education should be free and accessible to all. So that's what we offer to everybody. How you find us, the number one way is going to be our Facebook link right there. If you want to enroll in the academy, which I really, really hope that you do after class with us, please, please, please send us a message. Let us know that you want to enroll and become a student. A admin will reach out to you. It may not be immediately, but we will get back to you. We get a lot of requests, so sometimes it just takes a little bit to filter through. But we will get back to you. And then when you enroll as a student, you get access to our private Facebook. You get access to all of our private community chats, which you get so much other information outside of chats, outside of class, and you can go and hang out with anybody. It's super awesome. We have lots of fun events that go on. And then the next thing about us is where you can find all of our classes is going to be on our YouTube page. So I'll put the link in the chat here. Not all of the classes are posted right now. Our academy director, who's absolutely amazing, she reviews every single one of the classes before it goes onto YouTube. So once she reviews it, she then goes and she posts it. So sometimes it may take a little bit to get up there, but it will always be up there. Right now, we have over 100 videos and a lot of really cool classes. So definitely go and check it out. There's a lot of awesome topics on there. The last link that I'll put in the chat for you is going to be our website. If you're a student, if you're not a student, go and check this page out. It has so many resources. We have books, we have study guides, we have bibliographies, we have information about our professors. We have information about our certification programs we offer. We have information about our private apprenticeships we offer. So definitely just go check our page out. It's so much information, especially for resources. And then the last thing I always do, if you've been with me before, you'll hear it again. I always like to do a little bit about myself. So again, hi, I'm Professor Kelsey Coes. I have been a solitary practitioner for about 15 plus years. I do very ritualistic, folk, ceremonial type work, a lot of energy work. I work with deities, I work with spirits, I work with a lot of different entities. My energy is very purifying and healing. Like I said, very purifying and cleansing. So it can get overwhelming at first. Students have let me know to let people be aware of that. So if you do get overwhelmed at all, please just go get some water, ground yourself if you know how to do so. And if you use crystals, grab any crystals that work well for you. Lapis lazuli will help with my energy. So if you ever have any issues, that crystal will help with you with me. Um, and then when it comes to my classes, I am a gray practitioner. So I do not teach all light and love. I do teach from both sides, and I teach balance, I teach duality, and I teach it from the aspect of light is just the absence of darkness, and darkness is just the absence of light. I don't teach it as good versus evil. So keep that in mind. I will always bring up every single practice, every single culture that I possibly have access to and that I know about, and I will tell all the different ways and then show you my perspective as well. So you will learn all of it, but that is how I teach it. I do teach it from a very duality point of view. So tonight we're doing all about altars. I love altars. Altars are amazing. They do so much for you. I'm going to give you a rundown on the basics of altars, how to set up your altar, and then some also like unique ways that you can also have altars. I think there's some things that people forget about is an altar doesn't have to be like one stationary spot. So there's awesome, cool little travel type altars that you can make. I use them all the time that you can do, and there's other alternative ways. So I'll give you a few ways to do that as well. And then keep in mind when altars, they can be as simple and as extravagant as you want them to be, and they can have whatever it connects to you. You don't have to have deities, you don't have to have elements, you don't have to have spirits, you don't have to have any of that or ancestors, and you can have all of it. You can also have more than one altar space in your home, in your life, wherever you are. You can have more than one. And then remember that I'm going to show you and teach you a lot of different ways, a lot of different methods, a lot of different concepts to altars. And then you can make your altar whatever you want. So just remember that this is a framework. My altars have changed so much throughout the years. They change constantly. So just keep that in mind. Like your altar, if this is, you've never created one before, and this is where you're learning how to do this, this is going to be your first time. This is a framework, and then you can build and shape it to what you need it to be. So before we get going, do we have, is it just, okay, so is the volume too low? I can turn my volume up a little bit too, just to make sure. Oh, my volume's up as loud as it can go, so hopefully it's not me. I just double checked the chat and I saw it, so I just want to make sure. Okay, so anybody have any questions before we get going? And I can just dive right in. Okay, so when it comes to altars, one thing that you can also keep in mind is an altar doesn't have to actually be anything physical at all. An altar is simply just like, it's just a space. It's literally just a sacred space. An altar can even be just you finding a moment of gratitude and complete pleasure and thankfulness throughout your day. It's really just, it just requires like this curation of this environment. It doesn't have to have like ritual and ceremony to the altar. Obviously that's encouraged, but it's really like an altar is really just a sacred place for you to be. Like it could simply be just a cushion that you go to when you like to meditate, and that could even be considered an altar. It's a place where you can ground, it's a place where you can center, it's a place where you anchor a lot of your energy. Actually, most of your energy gets anchored there. It's a place where your magic practice gets anchored. If you work with deities and spirits, that's where your connection with them will be anchored, is going to be there. So it, like I said, it doesn't have to be an actual physical thing. It's literally just that space, but making it that physical thing makes it a lot more tangible, and it also makes your tools visible. I'm going to talk about it later. Having this physical, tangible altar also makes it a reminder to you of what your intentions are for your practice, for your life, for your mindfulness, and then your tools are also all there for you as well. And then you're also keeping them cleansed and charged at the same time. But like I said, an altar really is, it's just that sacred place where you can ground, you can center. It's also a place, like I said, where you can maintain your tools. It's where you maintain your regular cleansing, your protection. It's where you maintain like any of your spell work and your rituals. Almost all of mine happen at my altar, or they start at my altar and they end up somewhere else, or I'm creating another altar while I'm doing it. Because even when I'm doing outside protection work on my property, like there's an altar being created or like in the center while I'm casting my circle. Like I'm still creating an altar when I'm going out there. So that is really, really what an altar is. Altars, like they're used in multiple religions. You'll still see an altar in a Christian church, a Catholic church. You'll see them across so many different religions throughout history, ancient, modern. It's not just a pagan thing. It's not just a Christian thing. Like nobody owns altars. Like every religion uses them. It's really just that sacred place where practitioners go. Like I said, to connect to that, hold your objects. And then, like I said, it's that really that physical reminder. It lets it be really right clear, right up in front of you. Like these objects are what you are going to be worshiping. Like I'm not worshiping the objects, but these are the objects you're going to be using for your worship, using for your connection. And they also are there to represent who you're going to be connecting to help you be able to commune with them and to remind you to go to them when you need to. You can have the objects on your altar represent so many different things as well. They can be simply just personal to you. It can be something simply personal that you are just connected to, that you just like, that you just enjoy. They can be things that represent the elements if you choose to work with the elements. They can be things for spirits. They can be things for ancestors. You can create an altar also simply just for feelings and intentions. Like if you've been really, really struggling with feeling confident and pride in yourself, you can create an altar that's simply with the intention of making sure that you continue to focus on feeling that pride and that confidence to connect you to that energy. You can do altars for specific deities, multiple deities. You can have deities mixed in with other things. You can have ancestral altars. There's so many different things that you can do with them. You can also do an altar for nothing and simply just your sacred space where you can ground. And like I stated right in the beginning too, they can be literally as complex and as simple as you want them to be. For example, right, I also said like I have multiple altars. I have my main my main altar, where most of my ritual practice happens, where most of my spell practice happens, where most of my deity work, my meditation, all of that. It's my bigger, solid altar, and that's where all of that's grounded. But I also have an altar in my bedroom that's smaller, that's for a specific intention for my relationship. I have another altar in my living room that's for my family. Every single time I teach, even if I'm not teaching about a deity, even right now, there's an altar that I just set up before we started class for me to teach, for the intention for me to be focused and concentrated and to be able to provide you the information, knowledge, and energy that you needed. So altars, like I said, they can be as super complex and as simple as you want them to be. My main altar has elements, deities, ancestors, it has spirits, it has demons, it has fae. Like my main altar has a lot of stuff on it, and then I have a super simple one, like I said, that's just for my relationship, that has incense, a picture, there's certain stones there, and then I have a sigil that I drew specifically for that intention. So like I said, as simple or as complex as you want them to be. And will you tell us what is on your teaching altar? Yeah. I can. I don't show people my altars. I have a thing about that. I don't like doing that because it's my sacred space. I don't know what it is. It's just something I don't like doing. Um, a lot of people love it. Like you can go on Google, you can go on Facebook, and you will find so many pictures of inspiration for altars, but it's just something I personally don't like doing. So right now, for my teaching altar, I have a white candle because I always use white candle for cleansing and purification, and that's just an energy that, like I said, that's what my energy naturally does. So I always have white candles with me. I also have a specific crystal right now that is quartz and moonstone, and it is a Buddha that is specifically meant for teaching. That is there. I have 3 different incense going, and the smells that I have attached to it are for concentration, teaching, and anxiety. I have my main tool that I work with that helps me connect to all my energy. And right now, that tool that I have is my katana. I work with Shintoism a lot, and a huge tool that I use for me instead of a wand is actually my small shorthand katana. That's always on my altar. I have one of my grimoires there because it has a lot of information that I'm teaching here for you. And then I also have my maven altar. My small mason jar maven altar is also attached to this altar right now so that I have the energy of the season that I've been working with you guys. So I hope that answers that question. That is my teaching altar right now. That is what I have on there right now. It is different every time depending on the class that I'm teaching, but that is what I have there right now. Okay, so back to what I was talking about. So like I said before, they can be as simple as you want. Like as an altar can be literally just one candle and a flame and you meditating. And that's your focal point while you're meditating. That's an altar. That's your sacred space. That's your grounding. That's your center. That's where your energy and intention is going. So, like I said, just almost as simple as that. And you can have big ones and small ones. I have done travel size ones. I have done ones that literally fit inside of a magic little satchel. I have done ones that fit inside a crystal bag, a baggie that you carry around your crystals, where I have an entire small altar in there. I have used, it wasn't necessarily an Altoid tin, but the same size of an Altoid tin, like a metal container. I've used a pencil box. I have used a deck of card box to be able to put things in. So like you can also make them that small and make them that travel size to bring with you. Mason jars. Oh, mason jars. Mason jars are amazing for spell work and also for altars. Like I said, my Maven altar that I use right now, it's a sealed mason jar that I made with you guys that literally that altar has been moved around and used so much because it's connected to that energy. Mason jars are amazing to use for small altars and for travel altars. And then also remember too with your altars, like there's no right or wrong way. You may have people that are going to tell you that like there's a right or wrong way. There's no right or wrong way. It's your altar. It's your sacred space. For example, like if you practice Wicca, they're pretty strict on their altar setup and where things need to go within that study of practice. And they're pretty strict on like making sure that elements are focused on that. And you have the goddess and the god and the horned god there. So like there are some paths that if that's the path that you choose, like keep that in mind. Like that may be a requirement for your altar work, but your altar is what you need it to be. There is no right or wrong way. It's just dependent on your path, your personal practices, and where you choose to focal point that at. So why have an altar? I've kind of touched a little bit on it. Because it's not necessary. Like you don't have to have an altar at all. Like you don't have to be a pagan or a witch or work with magic and do energy work or any of that and have an altar. You absolutely do not have to at all. It's 100% your choice. But why choose to have one? Like I said, I've touched on it before, kind of. It's a physical visible reminder in front of you of your intentions, of your goals, of what you're working on, of the energies and who you're working with. Like it is a physical, tangible, visible reminder in front of you. And I mean, that's not going to harm you in any way, shape, or form. Like that's super going to benefit you. So that's one reason to have it. Another reason is just because it gives you that energetic container. It gives you that energetic space in a grounded area for you to be able to come back to and pull back to. And it gives you, it's like this feeling of home. I don't that's the best way to kind of explain it. It's like this very feeling of home that this altar that when you go to your altar, I mean, I can when I've been at some of my shittiest, lowest, hardest, toughest points in my life, like I have literally gone and sat on the ground and cried at my altar and just being there and connecting to my altar and my space and like being to that grounded energy soothes you and it just makes you feel at home. It connects you to that presence and that energy and those things that you really need. It brings you into connection with deities if you work with them and the universe and all the creatures and everybody around you. So like that's another reason is it gives you this sense of grounding, this sense of home, this sense of place to always keep going to, and this sense of connection. I'm actually getting pretty emotional talking about it because that's like my altar is so sacred to me. It's that space is when I really need something, even like I've used all my mental health skills, I've used all of that, like that's where I go. Like even just instinctively, my body is immediately going to my main altar space. Like that's just where my body knows that it's supposed to be. So that's what it gives you. And then it also gives you, like I said, the connection to those other deities. Though if you choose to work with them, it gives you a portal to be able to do so. And it gives you a way to honor them. When it comes to deity work, that's really important to show them reverence, to show them respect and honor them. And having an altar gives you that way. Also, if you choose to work with ancestors, it gives you that space and it gives you that connection to be able to honor them and show them that reverence and show them that respect in a physical, tangible way. And remembrance as well, especially with ancestors and deities and things like that. Um, Let me jump back to the chat. Okay. Do we have any questions before I jump on to the next chunk? Okay, sounds good. I'll go to the next chunk. Okay, so altar supplies. The list literally could be endless on what you can put on your altar. What I'm going to give you is literally just basic supplies, basic things that almost everybody uses at some point in time. I don't even use everything that's on this list currently. Like I said, my altar practice, my altar connection has changed. I've used everything on this list at some point in time. But like I said, this is just a framework and it can be endless. Because remember, if you work with deities, you work with any other entities, anything that will represent them and connect you to them can be on your altar. That's a very long endless list for you, depending on what your path is and what you work with. Also, when it comes to the elements, if you choose to have the elements represented on your altar, absolutely anything that's going to connect you to any of those elements, you can place on your altar. Personal things that are attached to you, they can be on your altar. So like I said, there's a very endless, exhaustive list of what can be on your altar. For example, like one of my main spirit guides is a kitsune. I have a kitsune and multiple foxes represented on my altar because those are very, very significant to me. They connect me to my spirit guides. It also duels as a deity representation for Amaterasu, but like that's the main reason why they're there. Like I even have like my first like little stuffy of a kitsune that I ever got that like really opened me up and connected me to my spirit guide. Like that is on my altar. That's something that's there. So like I said, like this list is endless. There's so many things that can be placed there. So we'll start with, like I said, the basics. So altar cloths, they can be used for so many different reasons. You can put them on them and keep them on top of there just to help keep, the surface from being dinged or scratched, or if you use incense to keep, to catch ash, or if you use candles to catch wax to make sure wax isn't getting on there. Some people also will do that because if they have to like hide it and like they can't keep it out all the time and they have to move it in and out or take it from places, they can literally just pick up the altar, like the altar cloth, and then like wrap it around it and close it and then take it down whenever they need to. It makes it a little bit easier. I've done that once. I just prefer to try not to move my altars unless they're going in and out of moonlight. Because my one right now that I have is on wheels, which is really nice. Um, and then another reason why a lot of people use them is because it can serve as having a lot of them have like the pentacle or the Celtic knots or uh, astrological symbols. I don't know why I was struggling with that word for a second. So that can also serve as a focal point if you want your altar to be specific, like have those specific intentions. Another cloth that I see very common is the triple moon symbol. You'll see the triple moon symbol a lot on altar cloths as well. And then a lot of times you can use altar cloth as well to bring color and certain representations. You can use the color to bring in. So for example, if you really want to focus on like prosperity and abundance and like luck and good fortune and things like that, you would choose more of like a yellow and a green or like a gold and a green. If you wanted to focus more on like sensual sex, love, passion, like you could be going more for like a red. If you wanted to do more like magic, you be going like the black and the purple. So like that's another reason why people use altar cloths and why you can have them and why they may be effective for your altar. Candles, super personal favorite of mine. Honestly, I don't think I've ever done an altar without them. I really don't think I have. I don't think even a travel altar, because you can get birthday candles to put inside a travel altar, and there you go. You have little tiny candles go with you. You also have tea light candles that can go in travel altar. I don't think I've ever done an altar without candles. So personal favorite of mine, but you don't have to have them there. There's super common, awesome representation of the element of fire. I do use elements on almost all of my altars. Also, candles, another good way to be able to help with purifying and protection. You can use the colors again for significance, for so many different things, even connecting to specific deities. Colors can be used for with candles and ancestors and elements and spirits and entities and so many things like that. So that's why candles are there. Candle holders and snuffers, obviously, just to try to make your life a little bit easier. That's really why they're there. I don't even always use candle holders. Right now, I think half of my candles on my altar are on candle holders, and the other half aren't. I have a lot of pools of wax going everywhere, but I'm doing that for divination reasons right now. But cauldrons and burners, chalices and shells. So cauldrons, if you do cauldron work, burners, if you choose to do a lot of releasing work. I like to have one there, especially for like burning paper and releasing things like that. Chalices, so cups, chalices. I use wine glasses as chalices. I have lots of different wine glasses, champagne flutes that I use as chalices. But if you have like a cup that's significant to you, that can be used as a chalice. These are all ways to be able to help you hold the element of water. And also you can also use them for the element of earth as well. Because you can put salt and dirt and things in there. Shells, I put that as precautionary on there. Just do research to decide if shells is something that you want to use. Shells can be part of some closed practices throughout the world, and some indigenous practices. I personally don't use shells. I just don't connect to them, and I don't like that either. Just for that reason. So just like I said, if it's part of your personal practice, like just make sure you meditate, make sure you think on it, make sure you do the research if you want to use that and have those there. You can also have any type of air, aromatic plants and flowers. I have a long list in the study guide for you of different scents and what they mean and what they can bring to you. Chalices and cups, we kind of talked about that with the cauldrons and stuff. Those hold to represent water. Crystals. Crystals, amazing, amazing thing to be able to ground center energy. They're an absolute essential part of my altar. I don't think, again, I've done a single altar without crystals. Not everybody works with crystals though. But if you do, like they're amazing to have there. Mine end up getting placed in very specific points depending on what they are so that they charge what they need. I make sure that I have crystals in areas where they need to be with specific deities and entities as well, if they're being there to represent that. A lot of times, if I'm doing an elemental altar, I make sure my crystals are representing the element of earth because that's what they can represent. So making sure that they're placed in that direction if that's what I'm choosing to do. In the study guide, I do have a list of some pretty common crystals that most people use and what they can bring forth to you and the energy that you can use to tap into and harness with them. Other things to be on your altar are going to be any type of energy clearing tools that you use. Most people that I know use incense or sage or any or things like that. Also water, if you use any type of like holy water or moon water or Florida water or flower waters or anything like that. But most energy clearing tools that I know that people use are going to be incense most people uses. Um, Another thing that you'll find you can find on your belter is bells. That's a smoke-free alternative to be able to clear and cleanse. So if you can't use incense, I know a lot of apartment buildings won't allow that. So like if you can't use incense, a bell is another way to be able to get around that. And I know that it is super common for Wiccan altars to have bells on them. Um, and they can represent the element of air. So that's a big reason why they're there as well to help show the element of air. Because incense as well, like I said, that's element of air. And then, like I said, I've touched on before, any personal items or offerings that you want. So any offerings for anything, any spirits, entities, deities, other beings, ascended masters, yourself, like spirit guides, anybody, anything that you work with, any type of personal offerings, connections. Like if you get that hunch, that urge, that feeling that like something needs to be placed on your altar, place it on your altar. Just trust your intuition, trust that gut feeling, listen to that flow of the energy working through you, listen to the flow of the universe working through you and letting you know what needs to be there to help you connect. If you feel any type of pull or anything, just put it there. Oh, another super common thing that you'll find on altars a lot is alcohol. A lot of deities really like alcohol. You'll find a lot of food and beverages on there because of deities and spirits and things. So you'll find a lot of alcohol. I have literally bottles of wine. I don't drink myself, but I have bottles of wine on my altar for deities. And I have beer and mead and whiskey and a couple other things have been down there. Might not have any whiskey left. That might be gone. I might need to replace that. Okay, so then any ritual tools. So this could include any salts, oils, resins, herbs, any like stationary jars, pentacles, pentagrams, mortar and pestles, like if you grind ground herbs, if you make black salt, anything that you use for that, any candle carving tools, your book of shadows or grimoire or journals, whatever you call it, all three, any of that, any of your ritual tools are going to be there. Anything that you use in your rituals. I like if you use a wand, like your wand will be there. Like I said, my katana it rarely ever leaves that unless I'm using it. It is always on my altar space. Anything that you would use to like represent deities, like statues of deities, again, will be here as well for ritual tools. And then if you're using ritual tools specifically for elements, because you'll have the elements represented on your altar, but then if you're using it for a ritual, you can place this here. And that's for all five of them, the earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. Other items that might be on there are any of your divination tools as well. So like your pendulums, you can have your tarot cards there, your oracle cards, crystal balls. If you put a crystal ball there and there's a window and there's sunlight, please put a cloth over it. Please don't set your house on fire. Please put a cloth over it. Please cover it when you're not using it. Please be safe. You can store your incense on your altar. You can store anything that you use. My altar has a shelf on top, a shelf on bottom, and doors that I open that have layers of shelves inside that I have inside of it. And in my altar, I keep herbs that I have stored in jars and mason jars in there. I have things that I've taken on nature walks, like my feathers from different birds. I have you know, all of my sticks, my moss, my anything that I use to connect to the fae, anything that I use for my spirits, like everything that I could possibly use for my ritual work, my spell work, connecting to deities, offerings, it is all stored in my altar space. Like I keep it there at all times. That way it is always being continuously charged, being continuously cleansed, and it's going to be continuously protected. Because I go back to my altar so often to cleanse it, to charge it, to be there with it. So anything can be stored in there that's going to be for your ritual work. At all, if you have that space. If you don't have that space, it like I said, it's not fine. Like it's okay. Like you don't have to have it there. It's just it can be if you do. And then another pro tip too, if you choose to, this is another reason why I really don't use a cloth a lot anymore. And I use chalices and I use burning holders and things like that, is keep your ashes from your burned herbs or incense, because you can use it to create your black salt. So I literally keep mine, everything gets kept. I collect every single chunk of that I can get. So that's a big reason why I don't use the cloth. So that's another thing with your altar. You can be able to collect other things that you can use later on down the road. Okay, so before I go to the next chunk, let me jump back to the chat and see if there's anything that I've missed and if there's any questions. And then, okay, does anybody have any questions? So Carmen, I see your question about what direction the altar faces. I'm going to answer that just a little bit later, but I will be answering that. Do I have a study guide? I do. Did somebody attach it for you? Yes. Okay. What kind of wine? It depends on the deity. Right now, I think there's a red and a pink down there, because of who it's for. But it depends on the deity and what they like. How to enroll? Whom to contact? No. Okay, sorry. Who to contact? Did somebody answer that? Yes, okay. But I said it in the beginning, but please just message us on our Facebook page to enroll in the academy. An admin will reach out to you. Honey, is it bad if you give a deity alcohol if you don't drink it? Nope, I don't think so. I will sit and I will like stay with them and I will give them respect while being there, but I don't think it is a deity's place or anybody else's soul's place to sit there and think that it's rude for somebody to not want to override their sobriety. I don't think that's something a deity would be offended at. I just don't think that a deity would be like, okay, well, you don't want to drink this because it's mind altering. That's fine. You're giving it to me because I enjoy it and because I like it. So you're giving me something that I enjoy. So that's why I also think that, no, I don't think it would be rude. But I also had the philosophy of like, I don't think it's rude to refuse food that's given to you, because if it's something that you don't like and you have a sensory issue, like I'm not going to make you eat something. I don't think that's rude. I would rather you be happy with what I give you. So I also kind of view that a little bit differently. So if you think it's rude, that can be a part of your practice and you can choose to go that way. I sent a message to them, but okay. So like I said in the beginning, it might take a little bit for them to get back to you, because we do get a lot of messages. But we do get back to you, I promise. And then I'll reach out to admins too tonight just to see when the next time somebody's going to take a peek through that. Because we have certain ones that do that too, because we have a lot of different things that we have to do. First time for me to hear, how do I get the study guide for today? Did somebody send it again? Yep, they did. Okay. How long do you leave food or wine on your altar? So you don't let it spoil. You take it off your altar, recycle, and do it before it spoils. Because you don't want to leave spoiled food for anybody. And actually, a lot of times, if it's fruit or anything like that, you can take the fruit and you can bring it outside. That's actually like rotten, almost rotten, like super overripe fruit. Butterflies love it. I see the link, but once you open it, I know the list of altar items is quite a few pages in. I think I'm on like I don't know what page I'm on right now. It's a couple pages in. List of altar items starts on page 10. To use paper as yeah, you can definitely use paper as a cloth to collect ash, for sure. What all enhances do deities use? I guess I don't understand what that question is. What all enhancers to mind altering. It depends on the deity. Some of them don't use any, and some will attach to other ones. You have to do the research on that specific deity, and figure out what connects to that specific deity. Is there an application form? No. Okay, so you answered that. I think that's study guide. Nope, I deleted the one from the Moragon class because I accidentally sent it, and then I resent the altar study guide. Yeah, I did accidentally resend. I did accidentally send the Moragon class before, but because that's on. When are we doing that? Saturday. We're doing that Saturday. Okay, so any other questions that aren't in the chat? Whoa. Okay. So next chunk that we're at. Okay. So where do I set up my altar? So you can have your altar anywhere. Literally anywhere. You can have it on a table, a windowsill, a space outside in your garden. I have one out in my fairy garden. Anywhere in a quiet corner of your home, in your room, in your altars, like in your office. If you're a kitchen witch, a lot of witches are, a lot of pagans do a lot of work in their kitchen. You can have one on literally on the ledge above your stovetop if you have one on a corner on like above your sink. Anywhere there, anywhere. And I've touched on it before, you can even have travel altars. Usually, typically, most people end up putting their altar in their bedroom space just because it ends up being a convenient space to be able to give you privacy. You're in your bedroom, at least typically most people are in their bedroom, to wake up in the morning and go to sleep. So you'll see it a few times. It'll be reminded to you. Most people, your bedroom is like your safest place where you feel the safest. It's where you go to recharge. It's where you go to rest. So that's usually a typical place that you see it. Like I said, my main altar space is actually in like my office slash my Zen den. So like that room is half my office for my work, and then the other half of my room is literally all my altar space, all my deity work, all my spell work, and I have my meditation area and all of that. So that's where my main altar space is. And like I said, I touched before, I have quite a few more around my house. I keep a portable one with me at my work. I bring a portable one with me in my car, especially when we travel. I don't travel anywhere without it because I just don't feel protected without that. So anywhere, anywhere you can put it. So when it comes to directions, some people say that your altar should face certain directions. Some people say it doesn't matter. It depends on your path. If you are Wiccan and you've practiced the Wiccan path, most Wiccans typically set up their altars facing north, because that is it's a nature-based religion, and it helps create a sacred space. North is a very grounding direction for Wiccans because north is attached to the element of earth. So if you're not Wiccan, you wanted like that's another reason why you wouldn't have it facing north. Otherwise, another very common thing that people do is they may orientate their altar depending on where the sun rises and sets for them in their home. So having it towards the east where the sun rises, or towards the west where the sun sets, depending on the intention you're trying to set, and depending on the energy that you're bringing in. Also, if you are having that altar for one specific element because you are elemental witch or you're working on one specific elemental work, you can have your altar face in that specific elemental direction. It also cannot matter at all any direction that you face your altar. It literally just depends on your practice, your intuition, and where you want your altar to be. When it comes to directions, north is going to be attached to earth, south is going to be attached to fire, east is going to be attached to air, and west is going to be attached to water. So I kind of, like I said, I lay down if you want to have your altar in specific directions, where you would want it to be and why. And if you don't have to. Currently the one that my main altar right now, I don't have it set up for any specific direction right now. I didn't feel the need for that. At times I have done that. It used to be that for the first half of the year, I had my altar facing towards the direction that the sun would always rise. And the second half of the year, I would have it facing towards the direction that the sun always set, because it felt like the completion of energy for me, and I needed my altar to rotate um, in that full circle within that year for that entire transformation to come through for that intention. So I've done that before. When I've done very specific elemental work, I've had altars facing in that specific elemental direction for that set of time. If I have a deity that is very attached to a specific element, then I will make sure that that altar is facing and set in that specific element. So, like I said, it really just depends on that altar's intention and your personal practice and what you would like it to be. But if you would like to, that's the directions and why you would set it up that way. Okay, so when it comes to setting up your altar, again, there are so many different ways to set up an altar, like to set up from the very beginning to have that space charged, cleansed, protected, ready to go for you. So many different ways to do this. I've done it so many different ways throughout the year. Sometimes it's as elaborate as this. Sometimes it's as simple as just doing a sound clearing technique and incense smoke and one quick anointing, and then I'm done. So it just depends on what that purpose is, what your timing is. But, and again, like this is framework. You're gonna develop your own way of doing things, your own instinct, your own intuition, your own way and your own path. So first you're gonna choose your altar wherever it is, whether it's a small table, whether it's a windowsill corner, whether it's a travel altar, whatever it is. You're gonna choose what it is. First step. Next, you're gonna cleanse and concentrate it. Cleanse and consecrate it. I totally said that word wrong. Um, so typically first you just want to make sure that the altar space is clear. Don't have anything on there. Make sure that the space is clear. And then I always start with just simply dusting it, wiping it off over the rag, and also doing a visualization depending on the energy work I'm dealing with. I put white light cleansing in there. Most people work with light for cleansing. That's why I put in there. I personally don't. I work with gray, so it's almost always a gray light for me because that's what I work with. But if you use white light, that's why I put that in there. That's what most people use. But while you are dusting, while you're wiping that off, you are making sure that you are visualizing that energy. That energy is there with you. That you see it. It's going in with each and every stroke on that surface. You're making sure to be wiping it counterclockwise. It removes the negative vibes when you're going counterclockwise. And then afterwards, when you're done dusting that off, if you already work with anointing oils, you can use anointing oils or essential oils if you already do that. If you don't do that, you can use something just as simple as vegetable oil, olive oil, or any type of cooking oil that you have in your kitchen. And then you take a little dab of that, you put it on your finger. If you are comfortable with working with a pentacle, not everybody is, or whatever symbol you want. It can be an astrological symbol if you're charging it to your own personal sign. I've done that before where I've used just my zodiac sign for Virgo, and that's what I've charged with my symbol. It can be the Celtic knots. It can be any symbol that you want to. It can be a sigil that you personally use. Whatever you want, you will take that and you will draw that with that oil on that space. And as you're doing that, you are going to be saying some type of intention. Whatever intention works with your personal path. I put a framework in there. And I consecrate this altar in the name of whether it's a deity, yourself, an ancestor, just the universe, an element, an energy, any type of entity, whoever it is, you add it there, and then you also state whatever purpose that you are setting this altar for. So it may be something like I consecrate this altar in the name of the universe. May this altar be a place where positive energy gathers freely to meet with the goddess, her consort, and myself. So it could be like, and again, you adjust it to whatever you need it to be, but that is what you'll be saying while you are while you are doing anointing with the oils. Step 3, bowls, cups, and kitchenware. So the next thing for step 3 is bowls, cups, and kitchenware. Anywhere in your kitchen, just go find anything that you can, or if you already bought stuff specifically for this, give me an extra wine glass, shampoo, a champagne flute, a glass cup, bowls, Tupperware, anything. You find that, make sure you clean it, make sure it's cleansed, make sure it's ready to go, clean it with soap and water. You're going to visualize whatever light is that you're working with it, consecrate it again, and then you place them on your altar. You're going to place them there because that's where you can place the elements. That's where you can place your things. That's where you can place your offerings. 4, if you choose to have any elements represented, this is where you will now take each one of those consecrated bowls from your kitchen. You'll make sure that it's filled up with your water, your salt, anything. Your candle, if you're using a candle for fire, you can put incense inside of there, like an incense cone, or even just a feather can be placed inside of there, or a bell or a fan for air. You place it in there, you make sure that everything's cleansed and concentrated like you did with the surface of your altar, and you set it onto your altar. If you have any ancestors or gods, now is the next step where you can add them. You place them where you feel they need to intuitively be, or if they're attached to certain elements, you can place them in the direction of that element. It just depends on your altar and your practice. And again, make sure that those items are cleansed, concentrated, and they're protected. You place those next. The next thing that you will do and the last thing that you'll be doing is you'll be adding any other items that you have, any of your personal items, any photos, anything else that needs to be there, mirrors, jars, any of your ritualistic tools. This is where I would be putting my katana, my grimoires, anything else that's going to be there, any other offerings, any other, like my sealed maven jar would be getting added here. This is when all these other things would be added here. Once all those are there, typically to be able to close and end that, I usually think whatever energy I have called into, I think whatever entity it is. I personally always end with amen, aho, so mote it is. Everybody has their own thing, but that's usually how, I end and I close after I've thanked. And then I know that my altar is set, my energetic container is set, my sacred space is set. So that is one way to start doing that. That's a basic way to do that. And then I do have another method in the study guide. It's pretty much the exact same thing. This one just focuses on the 4 elements and it breaks down to make sure that you place the elements in the correct direction. So you start from east and then you work your way around. And then also making sure that you're giving thanks. Another thing that it comes to altars is once they're set, you do have to maintain them. They aren't just this energetic space that just stays there. Like you do have to go back to them. You do have to maintain them. So you maintain them with regular cleansing, and regular charging. How often you do them, how often you do it, it's going to be totally up to your personal practice. I would love to say that I do it more than what I do. I would love to be able to say that I charge and cleanse my altars every single day, but I don't. As a basis, I make sure that they get charged and cleansed every wheel of the year Sabbath. If there's any type of solar or lunar eclipse or any type of event, I make sure they get charged then. Every full and new moon. And then anytime that I'm doing ritualistic work, I make sure it gets cleansed and charged beforehand. And then, so when it comes to cleansing and charging, the differences is cleansing is crucial because it removes any negative or unwanted energies and it makes room for the beneficial energies that you want there. Negative energies can get attached to your altar simply just because it gets drawn to it. It could be that you placed an item there and didn't cleanse it before you put it there, and that energy came with it. It could be something that comes and it's just attached to it because it's in your home and shows up. It just negative energy attaches to everything. Everything needs to be cleansed at some point, like on a regular basis. And then charging, that's where you are actually imbuing your actual energy and intentions into your altar and your tools. So that's where you're filling it with that energetic container. You're filling it with that energetic space. This can also be known as like blessing or consecrating. That's another name for that. Those 3 terms are pretty much interchangeable. How you cleanse your altar, there's so many different ways that you can cleanse your altar. In the study guide, I did break it down. One kind of way I broke it down step by step. But simply like I almost always use smoke or water. So it's almost always I'm taking absolutely everything off my altar. I am making sure my altar gets completely wiped down with moon water. I'm making sure that I'm doing it counterclockwise. I am going through and making sure that all of my tools and everything that's there are getting wiped down and cleansed with the moon water as well. Any offerings that may need to be disposed of, I make sure those get removed and get replaced and get rotated in. I make sure, well, also when cleansing, I almost always use smoke, so it's almost always the incense and herb bundles like sage, palo santo, and nagachampa. I use very frequently when it comes to cleansing for smoke, and that's just simply literally going over your space and your sacred space with that smoke, making sure that intention, making sure you're visualizing that light, that energy, and that intention is there when you're doing it. I'm usually having specific chants that I'm doing while I'm doing it, and it's usually the energy and the intention that I'm setting. Whether it's just one word, what that is, or if it's the mantra that I'm choosing to set for that affirmation, that's what's being said while I'm doing that. When it comes to charging, it's really the same thing. Once you're done with that, it's making sure that everything's cleaned off for sure. I don't always charge every single time I cleanse. Sometimes you're just cleansing, sometimes you're charging, sometimes you're doing both. But the charging, again, that's where you're going with the anointing oil, the essential oils, any oil really from your kitchen, and you're making sure that your well altar is getting wiped down with the whole entire thing with that intention. And then afterwards going back and drawing whatever sigil and whatever intention that you need to be set within that oil. Um, like I said, there are so many ways to cleanse your altar. I have a lot of different ones in the study guide. You can do fanning, you can do just brushing away negative energy. You can do placing, just simply. You can just place a bowl of salt on your altar, because salt naturally is just going to absorb all that negative energy. You can place specific stones on your altar to absorb negative energy. One that's really good for that is black tourmaline. If you work with Reiki and you're an energy user, you can also use Reiki energy to be projected at your altar for cleansing. Singing bowls and sound healing. Singing bowls are amazing for cleansing your altar. Using different types of water, herbal infusers, if you work with oils, anything like that. And then other methods for charging your altar are going to be, again, like your intentions. You can also invoke deities and goddesses. You can invoke your ancestors. You can have those energies there with you when you're charging, when you're putting that oil on, when you're anointing it. Reiki, you can be using crystals. You can have your tools there. You can use diffusers and essential oils. You can also make sure that you're charging it through moonlight. I kind of briefly mentioned it before, but like my main altar's on wheels so that I can move it in and out of the moonlight every full and new moon. My entire altar gets charged every single time. It's not just my crystals. It's not just me moving a couple tools outside or into a window ledge. My entire altar gets moved, so that my entire altar gets charged in that moonlight, and whew, it's amazing. Especially when the eclipses come through. I touched on it before, but as often as you can when it comes to charging your altars, and follow your intuition when it comes to cleansing altars, how often. But main rule of thumb, for sure, new moons, full moons, and try to do the wheels of the year. Um, and then there's lots of different reasons and ways that you can use your altar, not just for witchcraft and magic, but also just for your daily spiritual practice. So you can create an altar simply just for meditation, to help bring you to your mind to meditate, to have a place to meditate, for your mind, body, and your emotions to go to. Um, you can create an altar that's simply just to practice daily gratitude. Just so that you come to a place of daily gratitude. I have one like that that's in my Zen den as well, that's by my yoga space. And where part of that is I have intention cards, I have positive affirmation cards, I have positive mantras, I have a tarot deck that I pull one card from every day. And then that's the tarot that I reflect on and I look for synchronicities for. You can also have like a gratitude altar as well. I've done before, to where I set it and I charge it with crystals that are for love and appreciation and family and community. And then I had a bowl and a chalice that was charged with the element of fire and air. And then every single day I would go and I would add a paper to it with one thing that I was grateful for. And that was my altar for practicing daily gratitude every day, to make sure that I had the intention of recognizing gratitude every single day. So you can do an altar for that for your daily practices. You can have one that's specifically like just for remembering ancestors, just loved ones. It doesn't even have to be for magic practice or ancestral work. It can be just because you want an altar to honor and remember your loved ones. Um, you can also have an altar to focus on your more formal magical intentions. So I have one that's smaller that focuses specifically on like Fey magic and Fey work, because I'm currently working on my Fey certification. I am currently working on doing all of the like the Fey magic and all of that right now. So you can have one that's way more formal, that's set to focus on your studies. It's set to focus on like what specifically you're learning, and gaining that knowledge and clarity. You can also have one that's just for like goddess meditation or god meditation altars. So that's different than doing the actual ritualistic work and deity work. That's more of like a meditation altar for shadow work and a space for you to go to with them. You can also make sure that you have like a nature spirit or an elemental one in your garden, in your yard, in your fairy garden, if you get to have one. I have one altar that's by my garden, and I have one altar that's in my fairy garden, and then I have a small tiny one that's by my herb garden. Because those spirits, those elements, those deities, like I want them there. I want them blessing the things that I'm growing. I want them to be a part of that. You can do that in so many different ways. I have quite a few in the study guides. It's really cool what you can do. Um, and then again, I've touched on it before, but creating travel or mobile altar. And then you can build them, like I said, altars for specific purposes. This is like specific different events. Because if you think about it, like you go to a wedding, like where that cake is and all that stuff is, like that's an altar for the wedding. Like it really is a birthday cake with candles lit up on it, and like it represents like the longevity and like continued joy and prosperity. Like that's an altar for that special occasion. If you go to a baby shower, like there's usually like a center table with like gifts and a card box and the cake and like all the intentions for the baby. Like that's an altar for that specific special purpose and that specific special occasion. Like that is a grounded, centered space for that energy to go to for you. Um, so those are ways that you can use your altar in more of like a spiritual way, not a witchcraft and magic way. Other ways that you can use your altar as well, in more of like a spiritual way, are going to be prayer and contemplation, just simple journaling. You can simply do just candle gazing. Not like I'm not saying like I've talked before, like using it for divination and like scrying, but you can do it just for gazing. Like it's a great way to ground and like center yourself, and to be able to focus when you're meditating and to focus on that element of fire and bringing that like passion and like everything that fire can bring for you. You can also do it just for chanting, visualization, and connecting to your psychic and intuition. That's another thing that you can do as well. And then I've touched on it before, like when it comes to witchcraft, it's all just your spiritual work, your rituals, connecting to deities, things like that. Like that is going to be really like when it comes to magic, what that altar is used for. It's going to be your home base. It's going to be where you go to. It's going to be where all that energy and that connection is for you. Okay, so I've gone through everything in the study guide. I'm gonna jump into the chat. Do we have any questions outside of the chat though, while I'm looking to see? Yeah, that was a long that goal that was a that Melissa, that was a goal I had for a super long time, and to be able to get it now is, yeah, it's I worked my butt off for it, and I am never gonna do anything to lose it. It is awesome to be able to have that private space. I will tell you that. Can you put two deities that don't like each other on the same table but in separate sections in space? It's going to depend on the deities, and it's going to depend on your energy and how that container settles. I've done it before and have had no issues, and I've done it before and I've had issues. So it really, really is going to depend on those deities, honey. I always go to them and I ask them first, and I try to see if I can get an answer and make sure that they're okay with it. If I don't, I usually sit in meditation in it for a while just to see like how I feel about it. Because they may be new deities to me that aren't that I'm not evoking, I'm not able to invoke yet. So it just you have to feel those deities out. I've had it work and I've had it not work. If it's not gonna work, I mean, your energy can get a little wonky. The worst I've had happen is crystals shatter. It really hasn't gotten like too bad because they let you know pretty quick if it's not gonna work. Okay, let's see. Do you offer a class on chanting? I don't know if we have one right now, but I can add it to the list and I can eventually get to it in my magic basics class because I'm pretty much covering anything and everything in this class series, so I can add it to my list. Aho is from Native American. Most indigenous cultures use Aho as like their form of like amen. It's most indigenous cultures. Yeah. Yes, Melissa. I remember the first time you ever attended one of my ceremonies, you pointed that out to me. I remember you telling me that when you were indigenous. I love that. Okay. Any other questions at all? I figured this class would go a little bit quicker because there's lots of information on altars, but like I've said before, like your altar really is truly what you want to make it to be. It can be as simple, it can be as extravagant as you want it to be. And there is no right or wrong way. It really just depends on your path. And again, like I said, you don't have to set things in specific directions if you don't want to. If you want to, you can. Um, and it's really all up to you. That's the main point where people kind of differ, is the directional thing, and then also what goes on your altar. If you look in the study guide as well, if you don't now or whenever you do, there are two diagrams I have in there. I'm pretty sure I left them labeled. But those altar setups and the way they are, those are typically traditional Wiccan setups. So if you do practice Wicca, that is why I put those in there just to make sure that you guys did have access to see that. And also this is where a lot of people start with their format and where they set things up and like how they have it go. And just remember too, there's multiple different paths inside of Wicca. There's a couple different type of Wiccan paths. So it may not, that's why I put a couple different ones in there because they do look slightly different. But if you do look at those are typically Wiccan. Otherwise, most traditions and most practices, it's your altar really is what you make it, and it's really what you want it to be. I haven't come across really anywhere that's got very specific set guidelines of what you need to do, other than what deities ask to be offered to them for offerings and epithets and things like that. Okay. Ooh, honey, that'd be so cool. She would love that. Lilith would absolutely love that. That would be really cool. I, if you're okay with it and you do it, I want you to tell me how that goes. Because I bet you she would love that. And that'd be really cool. I actually have her on my front doorstep. She is a statue on my front doorstep in the shade in an owl. She's a great protector. Yeah, you're super welcome. I love that you found it interesting. I don't see a name because you're just iPhone, but I love that you found it interesting. Yay. Uh, yes, I figured you would. Okay, so doesn't look like we have any other questions. So thank you so much, guys, for being with me here tonight. I looked at my schedule, and you guys are going to be with me tomorrow night because we have the Taurus full moon. Saturday, you guys will be with me for the Morrigan. I rescheduled her, with my family being sick. Um, it did start at 7, but I'm 7 Central Time, so that might have been the confusion. I'm so sorry, because I'm Central Time. I'm so sorry if that confused you at all. And it's recorded. So it is recorded and it will get put on YouTube eventually. So it will get there and you will be able to see it. It is totally okay. I totally get it. I'm in a weird time zone that nobody else is really in, except for Honey. She told me she was in it. Um,
Thank you so much. We love you.
Thank you. Terry, when's Morgan? Morgan's on Saturday. Saturday afternoon. I'm not in Chicago. I am in central Minnesota. I am about 2 hours from the Twin Cities. Mhm. That's also why I'm solitary. You can't really, it's not the most friendly place to be a pagan or witch here. So that's also why I'm solitary. Okay, awesome. I look forward to seeing you guys. So yeah, we have Morgan on Saturday. Sunday we have Hecate, and Monday is our Samhain virtual ritual. So I will see you then. And then next week, Honey's usually better at this, at finding this faster than I am. But am I teaching next week for this course?
Oh,
Uh,
you're doing Hecate?
I am. I'm doing Hecate on Sunday.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to that. I seen you with Lilith and I loved it.
Yeah, that one was, I love teaching that one.
Yes, that was great. Oh, I can't wait for Sunday.
I did Persephone too before Lilith, and Persephone is already on YouTube. So if you missed Persephone, go check her out. She's my patron deity, so
Okay, I will do that.
awesome. So next week it looks like I'm doing protection and warding for this class series. So next week, and I'm doing all kinds of warding, not just your basic stuff. So I'm going to be doing cork cutting, freezer jars, freezer spells, literally stuff that some people consider baneful. I'm doing all of it. So protection, warding, we're gonna go over all of that next week. So thank you so much, you guys, for being with me here tonight. I look forward to seeing you next week. Yes, there are recordings. I will be recording Morrigan. Who's you gives examples and working for warding, etc. Yes, I will. I will give so many examples for warding. And lots for yourself, for your home, for your property, for your family, for like there's so many things you can do. The recordings are on YouTube. I don't know when Morrigan's recording will get put on YouTube, but they will be on YouTube. The YouTube is, let me put the link here. Did somebody beat me to it? Yeah, of course, Honey did. Of course, you beat me to it. Okay, well, yes, the YouTube's right there. You're good. You're good. If you're faster than me, that's great. I have like 10 pages open, so okay. Thank you guys so much for being with me. I look forward to seeing you guys the next classes. And if you are a next student, please reach out to us to enroll.
I look forward to enrolling. I'm just waiting to hear back from you guys.
Sounds good. And if you need to get in touch with me personally, just send me a private DM too. You guys are always welcome to do so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You have a great night and thank you so much for taking your time to teach us all.
You are so welcome. I know you guys appreciate it and I love doing it. Have a good night. Bye, Jody.
You
I
have,
saw that you were here tonight. I love that you're at every one of my classes. It makes me so happy.
you have a great night too.
You too. Bye, everybody.
Bye.